Hey, welcome everybody to the Brave Maker Film Fest online experience. Take a look at this video.
Today, I wanted to come to you to talk about dreams, about following your dreams.
Sorry, I got to stop because I got nervous. Did I put the sound on? I don't know. Stand by. We got to do that again because, you know, I'm the host as well as the producer behind the screen here. So don't go anywhere. We're going to start that again. I'm going to click the share the audio button this time. Oh, I love technology.
Today, I wanted to come to you to talk about dreams, about following your dreams.
Brave Maker means to me to conquer your fears and get over yourself. Tell your story. You are that story.
Brave Maker is about having courage to step forward, to face the unknown, and that's where you find your character.
I believe that all of us are here to tell a story and to do something that makes you happy.
The film is about a mother who counsels her son through video diaries. It's a wonderful piece. It takes place in 1961.
She finds out through the course of her interview that
even though her art was rejected, there are people who appreciate what she does.
And there's a little twist at the end that I won't give away. You have to see it.
So that's what I really hope people can do, is that we start listening to each other and we'll ask questions and then listen and believe.
We have our own blocks, our own mindsets, our own obstacles that stop us from getting to the dreams that we want.
So what do you think that help empower others?
Be open to giving, these women or girls a chance.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Just follow your dreams.
All of a sudden, that voice doesn't have as much power about, I'm going to go write that screenplay, or I'm going to go make that movie. As an example of if you just put your mind to it and get out of your own way, you can make anything you want come true.
And I was just blown away by the film, blown away by his energy. And when he first started talking about the film fest, I said, I would love to have that here in Redwood City.
So when he told me about Brave Maker, I said, you know what? This is the type of film festival that I want to be aligned with.
The treasure that you seek is in the cave that you're afraid to walk into. So I don't want you to walk into that. I want you to run in there as fast as humanly possible.
I am a brave maker. I am a brave maker.
I am a brave maker.
I am a brave maker.
The days when we were able to meet in public, how I miss those days. Hello, everybody. I'm Tony Gapistone, and I'm glad I get to be the founder and executive director of Brave Maker. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that is, our mission is to elevate brave stories for justice, diversity, and inclusion. We exist to empower filmmakers and storytellers and gather audiences together to have crucial conversations, to have important conversations about life, about culture, about entertainment. And specifically today, we're going to talk about production with our special guest. Before I get to him, I just need to say thank you to all of our donors and sponsors. I especially need to say thank you to our most recent sponsor of Nikon, who gave us a grant to keep doing this work, to take our film fest online. We can't do this work without the generosity of others, of our sponsor companies and individual donors. So thank you so much to Nikon for giving us the ability to pivot during this really, really challenging time. Nobody expected to be where we are today, and I'm super grateful for the ways that our sponsors like Premia in Redwood City, development real estate company, empowered us to do what we're doing. So thank you to all of those who are giving and those who are flooding in and giving right now during our matching campaign by our grantor, the Jacques M. Littlefield Foundation. Thank you. We're going to be taking all of donations through May and matching them, doubling them because of our generous donor, the Jacques M. Littlefield Foundation. So cool. So with no further ado, today is going to be all about talking about production. The future of Hollywood. How are we filmmakers, creators, storytellers going to survive, let alone thrive, pay our bills, and make our art when we're being told lots of different things going on? So I'm going to invite an alum to the Brave Maker Film Festival. He was with us last year. You saw him in our opening video. That was our recap video from last year. And he's an author, a speaker, a podcaster, a production empire builder, Alex Ferrari.
Hey, Tony, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Dude, for sure. I felt comfortable covering my, not only my bed head, but my self barber job. Look at this fade. I knew you were going to wear a hat. So I was like, you know what? The hat is coming on today.
I wear a hat generally, but now even more so. I miss my barber badly.
Same. All right, so Alex Ferrari of Indie Film Hustle. If you're not familiar with Alex, we're going to jump into his life and career today. He's got a plethora of websites and a backlog of hundreds upon thousands of podcasts that he has recorded and talked to industry professionals about screenwriting, about filmmaking, about all elements of production. But I thought let's just start first. For those who don't know you, let's talk about first where you're calling from. Give us a little update on what you're doing with life and family, how you're sheltering in place, and then we'll talk about the backstory of Indie Film Hustle.
Well, I'm calling from Burbank, California, so I'm right down, in the Mecca of Hollywood, if you will, right down the street from some of the big studios. And I've been dealing with quarantine as best I can. I've been in post most of my life, so I've been quarantined. I've been preparing for these moments for a long time. The only part I didn't prepare for is having my children at home and trying to teach them and handle them, as well as doing everything else. But we are my wife and I are very blessed. We both work from home. And we're able to continue to work, which is a huge blessing. But having the kids at home is. I mean, I was just watching an interview with Chris Hemsworth, and he was just like, Hugh Jackman, like they are just like we're not built to teach children.
My daughters are not looking at me to answer any of their questions, let alone enforce what their teachers are trying to teach them. It's so hard.
No, I am so blessed to have a fantastic wife who is picking up the heavy lifting in regards to the teaching and the homeschooling, because she is good at that and she does that very well. I'm the hunter. I go out into the supermarkets and go hunt for toilet paper and vegan meats. So that's what I do. I go out there
spearing through the aisles looking for Beyond Burgers.
I'm like, no, it's not that far off from that, my friend. I got my Bane mask on that I back ordered like 6 weeks ago. It just got here like last week, so I got this Bane mask, and I'm like, I go in.
Have that? Can we see that, or is that another room?
I don't need it in here, so it's in the house. I wish I had it. I would have brought it. I would have put my Bane mask on. Like, you just live in the dark. I was born in it. Something like that. But yeah, going to the supermarket has become the most stressful thing in my life right now. It's just like going out and going for a walk. You're just like, it's just nerve-wracking. We are living in a very once in a lifetime situation. And then, you watch the news and you see everybody that's suffering out there. You see everybody that's dealing with what, outside of our industry. But it's heartbreaking. And I really hope that we can get a grasp on this as soon as humanly possible. And then within our industry, the sky is falling. I've been saying Rome has been burning for years now. And now it truly is changing in drastic ways. And we'll discuss. I'm sure we'll get into that a little later.
I was just thinking about your description of going to the supermarket and how something that used to be so simple. I mean, go get a carton of eggs, go grab some milk. Now it takes longer, right? You're confronted with the reality of you have to have a mask on. Everyone else has a mask on. You can only see so much of people, which in some way it's kind of nice to be anonymous, that you don't have to see people and talk to people if you don't want to. Then there's also the element of like buying the groceries, not touching them and hand sanitizing, cleaning them when you get home. It takes longer. I mean, it sounds so small, but that's just a little piece of the larger trauma that we're all going through. And I was thinking about, I mean, some of us remember 9/11. We've gone through multiple national emergencies, fires, Katrinas, school shootings, all of these things that take place that impact the country in some way. But now it's like every single one of us now knows what it feels like to be sheltering in place. Every single one of us knows what it feels like to have graduations, weddings, honeymoons, plays, films, production canceled. So it's a big deal. So just as you're watching, if you're just tuning in, I'm Tony Gapistone with the Brave Maker Film Fest. I'm with Alex Ferrari of Indie Film Hustle. We recognize that as we chat today, that you might be feeling something while you're at home, and just know that it sounds as cliche as it is, we're in this together. The idea that we understand, we're going through it too. If you have questions, you want to pop them in the chat, we'll happily talk about them today. And I just want to give the reminder how much we need to take care of ourselves and each other and give ourselves grace. As we talk today, this conversation might be a little stressful because it deals with our livelihood. We're talking about the reality of financial consequences on us as our jobs and our hopes and dreams seem a little dashed right now. So just take care of yourself. If you need to take a pause and duck away, that's fine too. But we'd love to be able to answer any questions or wonderings that you have about what's going on in the future. So Alex, before we get there, just give us a quick backstory, the origin story of Alex Ferrari.
Oh no, stop that.
Come on. Where I know you're from Miami, Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm from the South Florida area, and I've dealt with crises like this before because I've gone through 2 or 3 hurricanes where my roof was ripped off and I'm without power for 2 or 3 weeks. This is a different version of that without question. But yeah, I'm from down south in South Florida. I've been in the business for a little bit over 25 years. I'm a director, post-production, and I've worked on literally thousands of projects over the course of my career. And about 5 years ago, I launched Indie Film Hustle as a resource to show filmmakers and screenwriters how to survive and thrive in the film business. I just got kind of tired of seeing my clients that were walking through my post room get destroyed and my friends get destroyed by the industry, and just brutalized by the industry. And when I came out, I was looking online to see if there was any real resource that can really give you the straight knowledge bombs, as I call them, for the business. And I really didn't see anything from anybody that had any major street credibility. It means that someone who's actually gone through, who's been in the war, who's got the shrapnel and the proof behind it to actually be of real service. And I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I launched Indie Film Hustle, and that was about 5 years ago. And that has grown into beyond what I even thought it was going to ever be. 5 years. I mean, it's insane how much it's grown over the years, and the impact that the website and now sister sites that I've developed as well have provided value to the audience. And it's an honor and a privilege to do the work that I do now.
Yeah, and thanks for doing the work. I appreciate it as a filmmaker myself. It's cool. We again, this speaks to, first of all, just to affirm you're finding a problem and then creating a solution, which is what the world needs, right? We are all in some way, whatever business you're making, even your film in some way, you're addressing a problem, or you're trying to tell a story that somehow communicates something, a message, an awareness, brings, your problem could just be you want to solve sadness, you want people to laugh, you want people to escape, whatever. But we're all in some way, we're solving problems with everything that we do, every business, every film we make. So I love that. That's so entrepreneurial. But I also love that for me as a filmmaker, I connected to you before I even started Brave Maker. It talks about the reality of business, of show business. You often talk about that. It's about relationships and building those relationships. And so we connected at a festival, at the CineQuest Film Festival, when your first feature film was debuting here in the Bay Area. So I was an avid listener of the podcast. I tweeted you once in a while or whatever. Maybe made some comments on your Facebook. We chatted here and there. And then when you did This Is Meg, I was like, cool, this is in my backyard. I'm going to go. And met you after the premiere. We chatted for a little bit. And you were quick to let's exchange numbers. We, over the course of a year, stayed in touch. And then I launched my nonprofit, started doing my film work. And then, boom, you came as one of our special guests last year. And since then, it's just been cool. I just want to point that out to our listeners and watchers, how important it is to find you, as a tribe, find your people, find the ones that are doing the work you want to be connected to. And if they're willing and you're willing, latch on, because this is how we're going to survive. This is how we're going to thrive, especially during this time, is finding ways to partner and make these relationships push our work further and further out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting because I remember meeting you at CineQuest, and then we met again at Sundance while I was shooting my second feature. We were throwing a big party, a Sundance party, where we were actually shooting the party. And you were there for a set, you just came by and said hi while I was in the middle of directing some scenes. I always told you, you should have just stayed for a minute. I would have put you in the movie. I would have easily put you in the movie, but he took off afterwards. And then I was invited last year to Brave Maker, which was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I had such a ball, speaking there. I was talking about my first book, Shooting for the Mob. And we did a keynote, and I told you, put me to work, and boy, did you ever, man! I was in every screening and panel, and you definitely put me to work. But my biggest takeaway from Brave Maker last year was that you introduced me to oat milk. And I've now been a convert ever since.
That's awesome, man. That's a shout out to my favorite cafe in Redwood City that I miss so much. It's a Cleesmo Cafe. I'm going to tag them in the comments here. If you're a Redwood City person, go frequent them. They're open for takeout, but they have the best lattes. I just go oat milk latte is my favorite, and I'm glad that I can now take credit that you love it too.
No, absolutely. Now when I go hunting in the supermarkets, I look for my oat milk now. I gotta get my oat milk now, because once you go oat milk, you can't go back. You can't go back. Yeah.
Once you go you don't go back. I love that. Producer of the Brave Maker Film Festival, Jessica says, "I love what you do, Alex. I appreciate your work, your words, and both books. I look forward to what's next." Yeah, so that's cool. You definitely jumped in. We put you to work hosting, facilitating our question and response panels. And that's what, gosh, good. Going back to relationships, those are the types of people we want to work with, right? Those who hustle, those who work, those who are willing and flexible and say, hey, I'm here. What could I do? I might be a big name. I might have my podcast and filmmaking empire, but I'll serve. I'll work.
No. I have no big name, no nothing, but I appreciate that. I've been to enough festivals in my life, and that I hate the thing about film festivals in general sometimes is if you're not busy or watching things, if you're a guest or something like that, you're usually on for an hour or two and you're done. And then what do I do? Is sit in an hour in the at the hotel or sit in your room waiting. I'm like, just put me to work. I want to just stay busy as much as you can. And I have to be careful with what I say now. Because you definitely put me to work.
No, that was great. We had fun last year. I super miss it. We're probably during the weekend we were going to have the festival, which this year was May 15 to 17. We're going to have lots of live chats like this. So If you're watching, just tuning in, I'm Tony Gapistone, Executive Director of the Brave Maker Film Festival, talking with Alex Ferrari of Indie Film Hustle. And let's jump into just kind of the state of the union, the state of Hollywood, the state of production. So let's hear. I messaged you about the article that our friend Jim, friend of the podcast here, friend of the Brave Maker community, Jim Cummings, did last week, called Hollywood versus the Virus. And he chatted about the reality of the next 6 to 12 months doesn't look so good. He's saying, which other people are saying too, is that we got to look at the next 6 to 12 months, or 12 to 24 months, to prepare that production might not be going back. And when and if they do, it's going to be radically different. So my friend Alex, what are your thoughts?
I've been saying very similar things now since this whole thing launched, and I've done multiple podcasts and a couple of interviews as well with some guests on my show, talking about what is happening to our industry and what we can expect to. There's many things that are happening, but when can we expect to get back to work? How that work is going to look like? And I've been talking to my contacts in the industry as well, who work at the very highest levels, and like at the studio levels and at the high agency levels. And the word on the street is that there's not going to be any new content there's not going to be a new season of anything in the current state, the way things were shot before this year. So in the fall, there generally won't be new seasons of your favorite shows, because there's no way that they're going to be able to be produced. Generally speaking, there's some Tyler Perry's doing something very interesting over in Atlanta. He's got the capability to do something over there that might be interesting. But generally speaking, the way it was will not happen. Will there be at home versions like what Saturday Night Live is doing, creating content that way? That possibly, but you can't do that with CSI, or in any dramas or comedies. It's going to be difficult. So they're expecting production not to get back until probably next summer, and then the fall will be the new run of new content coming out as far as television is concerned. Feature films are not too far behind. There is a lot of stuff in the can, like we literally have Bond sitting there. But Mission Impossible stopped midway through. Fast and Furious stopped midway through. A lot of these big tentpoles got just stopped. There are a lot of things in post still from that were already in the can. So we will get new movies, but the question is, how are we going to see them? So that's a whole other conversation. It's like the theatrical experience, like I was telling you, Tony, before we went on air, is I'm not planning to go to a movie theater this year. I can't. If I was, younger and by myself, maybe, but I have a family. I can't really expose myself to that for the risk. It just doesn't make sense. So until there's a vaccine and or a major treatment that's proven, I don't foresee myself going back to a theater anytime soon, or a public event, or, I wanted to go see Hamilton here. I can't go do that for at least a couple of years, so, I don't know when Broadway is going to open up again. Now, theaters, it's sad, but we are going to lose a lot of theaters. We're going to lose a lot of screens. The ridiculous fight that AMC is having with Universal right now is so stupid and counterproductive on AMC's part. I can't even tell you. For people who don't know what's going on with that, Trolls 2 World Tour got released digitally through what I'm calling premium TVOD, which is basically that $19.99 price point for first run movies. And Universal put that out, and they made over $100 million with that release.
And the budget was $90 million. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So off of the streaming, they made about $100 million off of it. And then I think the CEO or somebody at Universal said, "Hey, we don't even need movie theaters anymore." And that was like the final straw for AMC. So AMC now is like, "Oh, we're not going to screen any Universal movies anymore." So, and which is stupid, because AMC is about to file bankruptcy anyway. Like, they have no power. They have to understand that movie theaters in general, which I grew up with movie theaters. I think there will always be a part of our cinema experience without question. But you have to look at what the realities of the business are. People's habits are changing. People are going to streaming. Streaming is going to be a thing. It's just like the horse and buggy when the car came out. It's just like kerosene lamps when electricity came out. There's always going to be a group of people who don't want the change. They want to keep things the way it was. But unfortunately, that is just not the way life works. So movie theaters will be a part of our experience, but it's been on a downward turn for years now. And if it wasn't for these big giant tentpoles, which, by the way, if there isn't a theatrical component to the release strategy of a $250 million movie, can you make a $250 million movie anymore? Like, is that a feasible business model anymore? If you can't have the theatrical component, worldwide theatrical, not just US, worldwide theatrical component, does an Avatar make financial sense? Can that actually make business sense? You know, is there enough on streaming? Trolls 2 is a unique film because it's a kid's film. It's kind of like, it wasn't really that risky to do.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot.
Desperate, right? Everybody came out and said, "Oh, it's something new. $20, I'll buy it." They rode that wave.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of low hanging fruit. But you know, when the real test will be is if Black Widow comes out like that, if James Bond comes out like that, if the next Fast and Furious comes out like that. That's going to be the test, because can a movie if a big Avengers style film, could that make $500, $600, $700 million streaming? You know, man, how much does boxing? Remember boxing back in the day, pay-per-view? They'd pull in $400 or $500 million in a night, you know, for a Tyson fight. I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. And because now we're being conditioned to do it, and the consumer is being conditioned to do it, and now Hollywood is being forced to do experiments that they would have never done voluntarily. It would have taken another, if it wasn't for this, window cutting out the theatrical, probably wouldn't have happened for a few years, and definitely not with a title like Trolls 2 or any of the other bigger titles that got released. So they're testing the market because they have no choice. And as this thing continues to go, the studios are only going to hold on to Mulan and to Black Widow and to James Bond. They're only going to hold on to those so long. If they see that this is not going to go away in the fall, which I don't think it is, unfortunately, I don't think life is going to go back to normal in July. That doesn't make any logical sense. I don't think there's going to be a big theatrical. People are going to run out to the theaters in the Christmas time. I just don't see that happening, unless, again, tomorrow Dr. Fauci shows up and goes, "We've got the vaccine. We got this thing. It'll knock it. So you take this pill, you'll be out of this in 2 days." Just go down to CVS, pick up the Z-Pack, and you're out. If that happens, it will still take months for the hangover to come off of society in general.
The fear, right?
Yeah, that's a hangover effect. Like I said, if tomorrow that happened, it's going to take me probably at least a quarter, meaning 3 months or so, for me to even start to really walk around without a mask. And really, I don't foresee myself shaking a hand for quite some time, So this is going to affect our psyche very, very in ways that we can't even see yet. But even if that all happened, I don't foresee people going out to see James Bond, and there isn't an Avengers style event coming up anytime soon. So Black Widow's coming out, which is, another part of the Marvel universe, and it'll probably do well. But James Bond is probably the biggest tentpole thing that's in the can. Mulan is probably that as well. But James Bond even more so because it's a real established brand and it's the last one that he's going to do and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know how that's going to work, but the theaters in general are going to be, I think we're going to lose a lot of movie theaters, especially a lot of little independents that just will not be able to survive this event. Unfortunately, look, there's companies dropping left and right. You're already starting to see,
And I was saying months ago, wait, we haven't seen it. We haven't even begun yet with the effect that this is going to have on mainstream Hollywood, meaning the studio system. There's probably 3 to 4 studios that will either get eaten up. Well, they won't close. None of the studios will close because someone will buy them, but they'll get eaten up, or they'll get merged or bought out from somebody. Because there's Facebook, Apple, Google, and Amazon. They're all just sitting there with a lot of content. And Sony has a big library. They're not doing that great. Paramount, Lionsgate, MGM, those are like the 4 studios that I feel that are very vulnerable, where I think Universal, Warner's, and Disney will be fine. They have enough to survive, to kind of to survive this passage in time. But that's going to happen. And then look, I live in LA, so I'm seeing it around, like all the support facilities, post-production, catering, all these, this whole town is built around our business. And when there is no business, which I think they said, I saw it on the news, like 750,000 workers, literal workers in the industry are supported by our industry. And then there's millions of support industries around that, outside of that. It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. And, to talk about production, you and I both shot Tony. We've been on set. There's not a lot of 6 feet. There's not a lot of social distancing when it comes to production. It is a collaborative effect. Art. It's about being on top of each other.
Everybody huddled around Video Village, looking at the monitor. Yeah.
I mean, and I can't even imagine what these big shows, these big network shows, or even big streaming shows, how they can function on a skeleton crew. How could they even? They've done things so long, fat, if you will. I call it fat because Robert Rodriguez is the one that came out. I was like, I made a movie with 10, 15 people. I'm good, and I made it. But these come, with these shows that have 50, 75, 100, 150 crew members per episode. They're going to have to drop things down. The talent is not going back to work. They're saying no. Union people are starting to get, all the unions are starting to try to say, no, we're not going to send our people back in. There's going to be a lot of problems coming, because this is uncharted territory for everybody. Everybody knows how to do things one way. And now there is this X factor, which is COVID, that nobody really knows what to do, how to do it. There hasn't been someone that said, hey, this is how we're going to start shooting. This is how we're going to do it. The only one who has said something was Tyler Perry, who said, okay, well, we're going to shoot and we're going to quarantine ourselves on my backlot because we have housing, because all of our backlot houses are actual houses. They didn't build facades. They built houses. So it's going to be like camp. So they're going to bring everybody in and they test everybody, and then they're just going to stay there. And they're just going to shoot. And he shoots 22 episodes of a show in 2.5 weeks.
What? Oh my gosh.
That's his system. So, and the actors are on board with it. The talent is on board with it. He's just getting the approval from the city to do it. Because that's the only way production is going to go. And we'll go in with a skeleton crew, and we can at least start keep people working, keep things going, because people still want content. People still need content.
Was that story broke on like Deadline or Variety or something, or where'd you read that?
Yeah, it's online. Yeah, it was on my Facebook feed. It's everywhere. Yeah, if you type in Tyler Perry Corona response or something like that, it's there. But that's what he's planning to do, and that's awesome. But like Disney can't do that. We don't have, housing in a quarantined environment like a backlot where you there's only one way in, one way out, and you're locked in. Like you can't go out, like you're in camp.
Well, that's going to have an effect on families too. I mean, just think about 2.5 weeks isn't that bad, but and Tyler Perry is cranking out a lot of stuff.
Oh no, he's gonna be able to. No, this is gonna be like a 2 or 3 month stretch. But that's kind of normal for production, because they'll go away for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months to go shoot a movie. So it's not that big of a deal. But it's that or you don't work.
Right.
Well, and he's trying to create a safe production environment, which honestly, I think he's one of the few, if anybody else, that could actually pull it off.
Well, yeah, let's back up because I want to chat about some of the things you said earlier too, because not everybody obviously can be a Tyler Perry or has access or resources like Tyler Perry.
Right.
So those of us that are watching this live chat or live or on replay, we're probably in very different pictures and scenarios than Tyler Perry is. So as you were talking, just thinking about the reality of productions going away and how, you know, I had a feature that I was hoping to have in production in November. You know, my producer's like, that's not going to happen. Push it back to 2021. Super sad to have to give that up. But all the other people that I know that were going, hey, this summer, you know, I have a couple of weeks vacation. I'm going to use it to shoot. That's going to have to be tabled. So I guess I'm wondering, okay, so those of us who have these things, these creative projects going on, we've got to pivot in however we can. We got to create our own Tyler Perry situation and go, is it going to be like podcasts? You know, narrative podcasts are going to be huge right now because I can record it in my studio. I can send it to my friend who can sound design it, and you know, my composer friend who can create music. That's probably something you should be considering. And I know that's been a thing many people have profited on and been monetizing the narrative podcast world. That's huge. Variety shows, right? I mean, if SNL is doing what they're doing, I think that's really smart to consider how you might pivot your sketches, you know, solo or those who you're quarantined with. I mean, gosh, like that's music, right? If you're musically inclined and you can be recording and putting your music out there, that's something to consider. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we all have to refigure out what this is going to look like and figure out how we're going to be paying our bills, how we're going to be, you know, 2021 seems really far off to me right now. But at the same time, 2021, we're going to be here. And I know I don't want to stress people out because we're all trying to do self-care and take care of ourselves. But we really do have to be thinking about once this lifts and once things go back to or come back to a new normal, you're going to have opportunities potentially that you never had before. You're going to have the ability to maybe present projects or show how innovative or entrepreneurial you could be by sharing, hey, while I didn't have a large crew or access to makeup and hair and blah, 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 here's what I did. So based on the fact that we have a book that you wrote called The Rise of the Filmtrepreneur, that, by the way, I couldn't, yeah, there you go. I couldn't even spell entrepreneur. So now I feel like I need to learn how to spell filmtrepreneur. So thanks for challenging lexicon. What are some of your thoughts around this about like what indie filmmakers, the non-Tyler Perry types, can be sharing? By the way, quick comment from Robertino. You met him last year. He's one of our programmers, assistant director of the Fest. He says, thanks for all your valuable insight and your positive energy to motivate the film community. You are a gem in this cray business.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
That's a lot.
So I've been talking about thinking differently for a long time. And I think a lot of filmmakers are programmed from film school to do things one way. And this industry it's an industry that hates change, that does not move, that does not want to do anything different than the way they've always done it. And they fought technology. They fight every, you know, from black and white to color to sound to everything all the way through. They always fight. This is the COVID situation has put us in it's put us in a situation where they can't not change. It's change or die, basically, is the way that the industry has to react to this. Now, as independent filmmakers, you know, in my book, I talk about creating multiple revenue streams from your film, creating side hustles, creating just multiple revenue streams, period, let alone just from your films. And these are things that I've learned over the course of the last years running my business, which is Indie Film Hustle. And when one revenue stream starts to slow down, another one could pick up. And the more revenue streams you have out there coming in to you, the better you are. You're diversifying your portfolio, if you will, of revenue generating assets. And that is, I think, one of the things that we're going to have to do as filmmakers to survive in this in this coming time, in the time we're in and where we're going. I think that everybody listening needs to understand that we're 12 to 18 months away from things getting back to normal. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. It's probably even longer than that. It's probably, 12 to 24 months. And I know people don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want things to go back to normal. I want to go to Brave Maker this year. I want to, I want that oat milk latte. I want to meet everybody. I want to have conversations. I want to, but that's not the world we live in. It's not the reality. And the longer that we kind of hide from that, I think the worse off people are because they're not preparing for what is going to be and what is going to be. If everyone thinks that in July everything's gonna go back to normal, you're wrong. If you think everything at the end of the year is gonna go back to normal, you're wrong. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna take time for this to work its way through. And this being an election year, that's a whole other conversation. It's gonna be a crazy 2020 is just horrible.
Hindsight is not 2020 this year. Let me just say that.
It is just a bad. It's just like, whoa, like damn. So it's gonna be a rough year, but in every crisis, there are people who not only coast through it. There's many that build companies that do things new, take advantage of opportunities that were not there before the crisis had happened. Yep. So in 2008, if you were cash flush and had a little bit of information about real estate, you could have made a mint because you could have bought some real estate at pennies on the dollar, and 10 years later, you're good. 5 years later, you would have been good. Do you see what I'm saying? Those opportunities are presenting themselves now. Yep. And you've got to see what's happening around the corner, because if you've already heard about it, it's probably, you're starting to get, it's going to be a little harder for you to make any headway in that arena. So when I jumped onto podcasting 5 years ago, there was a lot of filmmaking podcasts out there. I mean, it wasn't like there was a lack of them, but it was still kind of early on in the space. And now, every other week I see a new filmmaking podcast out there. But because I've stayed the course and I keep doing what I've been doing, I've been able to, do what I do at a large scale in that space, because I kind of saw where things were going to go in the podcasting filmmaking world, if you will. That's why I have 3 podcasts, not just one, among other things. So as far as finding ways to survive and to production and things like that, first and foremost is you've got to educate yourselves as much as possible on any kind of side hustle, any kind of other ways to generate revenue from your home. In my book, I talk about I have a whole chapter on side hustles, about how you can create revenue streams using online courses. You could do affiliate marketing. You could do all sorts of things. If it's $500 here, $200 there, $50 there, it's $50 that you didn't have before, and you didn't have to work for it. It's passive income. That's what you need to be looking at. You need to find ways to create passive income. The book is about creating passive income with your films, but now you've got to start thinking about how to create passive income, period, and start building that up. So then you have the ability to go off and do, and I'm saying you can't do both. You can create, a quarantine. Look, how many quarantine shorts I've been sent already? I mean, everybody thinks they're like, oh, I cracked it. I'm the first. No, you're not. Yeah. Everybody, I mean, I've literally gotten sent 10 or 15 quarantine shorts, and they think that they're going to ride that into some sort of notoriety, and God bless them. Go do your thing. But creating content now is going to be more challenging. Can you grab a camera and 1 or 2 actors and go off somewhere that's desolate and shoot something? Absolutely. Could you, maybe grab a sound guy and everybody just stay 6 feet away from each other, and be safe about it?
In hazmat suits?
Absolutely. Could you shoot something in hazmat suits? I'm not joking, but yeah, you can. There are things that could be done. Could you shoot a documentary right now? Could you do other things? Could you do something? What can you do from home? What can you edit together a documentary using stock footage and then doing interviews over Skype? Can you do that? Is there, just got to think outside the box, got to think about how you can create content and then how you can monetize that content.
Yep.
You know, there's a myth, and I was talking about this myth that, you know, people are like, well, you know, production stopped, so Netflix must be super hungry for content. I talked to somebody from, you know, from that's close to Netflix. The reality is that they have 162 shows in post right now. They have another 150 shows and movies done, sitting there waiting to be released. They literally have enough to release for the next 3 years. They're good. And on top of that, all the studios are just giving them as much content as they can sell at discount rates because the studios need to generate revenue. So they're just, that's why you just saw like, oh, Netflix just released 30 new features. Yeah, because all the studios are going to Netflix right now and going, hey, do you want my old movie? I'll give it to you for 25% of what it was before. And Netflix is like, all right. And they're just gobbling these up. So they're completely good. So if you have any illusions that you're going to make an independent film, or you have an independent film that's been sitting there in the can waiting, and you're going to call up Netflix and they're going to pick it up, I hate to burst your bubble. It's going to be pretty difficult. And I'm talking to some filmmakers who have some big projects that are big indie projects, meaning like $2-3 million, who check all the boxes, have the stars, have the genres, and they're still, Netflix is like, yeah, we'll talk to you in 12 months, man. We can't deal with you right now. So don't think that that's don't think that that's a slam dunk. It's not. Is it possible? Absolutely. But it is not a slam dunk. You need to start thinking outside of the system. You got to start thinking about how to generate revenue outside of the way you've generated revenue before. And, you know, if you're a writer, there's a ton of things you could be doing on right now. There is just a need for content out there. You can sell yourself on Upwork, or, you know, as a freelancer, you can go to Upwork, you can go to Fiverr and start selling article writing, content, editing, book editing or article editing or proofreading. There's so many things that a writer can do to generate revenue right now. It might not be exactly what you want to do, but, you know, I promise you it's better than a lot of jobs out there right now. First of all, if you have a job, that's a blessing. And then there's jobs like these poor guys and girls who are being forced now to go back to the meatpacking plants, you know, that are just cesspools of the virus. But everyone, like, you know, the government or the administration is saying that you have to go back. And if not, they're going to lose their job. You know, if you can figure out a way to make money at home and still provide service to people, man, you've got to figure this out. And I promise you, at the end of this, a lot of these skill sets that you're going to start building during this time are things that you're going to, once you get a taste of this world, like me and Tony were joking about it, like, I know executives right now in Hollywood. Sure. They're like, why are we going into work? Like, why? Yeah. Like, I could Skype all day. I get so much more work done this way.
How many of my LA friends have said, why was I driving an hour and a half for a meeting and then driving an hour and a half back when we could have just talked through Zoom or something like that? Yeah, I think more and more things are going to happen on the other side. That's why what I hear you saying is the more work you can do now and invest into that so that when you're ready, when those things surface, I think too, the thing that comes to my mind is it feels like like I'm giving up. I'm surrendering my dream in some way. But I think if you look at it a different way, like what you're saying, I want to make films. I had a film that was supposed to be in production. That's not going to happen. But I can pivot to start working on my marketing abilities. I created a social media management group of some people. I said, hey, I want to test out my ability to build your platform. I got 3 clients, boom. So in the past month, I took on 3 different people, and I feel like, one, I'm learning how to deal with algorithms and Google, marketing and Facebook and Instagram and that kind of thing. But I'm also building into these people who are potential partners for the future. I am working with, I didn't have her permission to do this, but I think she'll be fine. I'm going to share with you Kate Brolin, who contacted me. She's a actress and a voiceover artist. And she said, hey, I would like to build my brand. You know, I'm in quarantine. Obviously, I'm in Sacramento, so I need to figure out how I can grow beyond Sacramento. So I partnered with, shout out to Evan Ahuria, who's our Brave Maker web designer. I said, hey, let's put a package together for her. And we are redoing her website, and we're helping her brand herself and build her Instagram. And, you know, she's got a really great, unique look and voice and sound. And it's been really, really fun. I feel like I'm learning stuff that I can use in my own film and my own Instagram stuff for the future. And I'm able to partner with this up and coming talent, which is really cool. So totally wholeheartedly affirm this advice that Alex is giving. It's not giving up necessarily the dreams. It's finding a different way to partner with those dreams, to build into yourself and to make some money in the future. So if anybody's looking to redo their website or Instagram, let me know, and Evan and I will hook you up.
The bottom line is this, guys. And look, I've been inside the filmmaker's mind for quite some time, the independent filmmaker's mind for quite some time. I live, breathe, and eat this world and talk to filmmakers all the time, and just my own personal experience of being an independent filmmaker. So I know how we think as a general statement. And a lot of times filmmakers don't want to do anything other than to dream. And they just like, no, I want just this. That's all I want to do. And I don't want to think about the business. I don't want to write. I don't want to do about social media. That's so Kim Kardashian. I'm not that person. I'm not that. Look, man, if you don't start learning all these other skill sets, if you don't start jumping outside of that little comfort zone that you have, you will not make it. Period. If you don't figure it out, this is serious. Like, we're in a very serious time right now. And I know a lot of times filmmakers can get a little full of themselves. Trust me, I've been that many times in my career. So we get full of ourselves. We're like, well, no, I'm going to do this. Well, I have to do that. No, you've got to figure out how to survive. If your only income was production, well, production's going to be a little tough to go through right now. So maybe you want to make a course about what you did in production. Maybe you want to consult. Maybe you want to coach. Maybe you want to write. There's 1,000 ways that you can monetize your knowledge, monetize the skill set that you have. And then also by that like what you're doing is fantastic. You're providing a service to a client while you're adding more tools into your toolbox, which will be able to be used at a later date on your dream. So what I did with Indie Film Hustle, when I put out On the Corner of Ego and Desire, when I release my books, when I do all that stuff, I learned all of that stuff doing Indie Film Hustle, creating a podcast. I had the opportunity to do this in 2005 when I had my first DVD that sold, thousands of copies, and it was aimed at independent filmmakers, teaching them. And I said to myself at that time, because I was completely full of myself, and I said, oh no, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a teacher. Spielberg never taught. Why should Scorsese? Well, Scorsese did teach at school, but like all Nolan and Fincher, they don't teach. That's only film teachers don't. People who teach don't do, and that kind of mentality. And because of that mentality, I lost out on being the leader in the film education online space, because I was the first to upload, and you can look it up. I was the very first to upload, to my knowledge, tutorials on how to shoot and do visual effects and editing and stuff like that on YouTube. I actually just saw it the other day in a search. It came up. It's a 17-year-old clip. It's insane. I could not believe it's in 17 years since I uploaded that thing. But because my mentality wasn't right, I lost out on that opportunity. Because imagine if I would have just put out one episode a week on YouTube in 2005. It would have been before Film Riot. It would have been before Rocket Jump. It would have been before all those guys, Indie Mogul, all those guys, No Film School, everybody. There was just nothing. But I decided, no, I'm a filmmaker. I can't do that. Tarantino doesn't do that. Why should I? And that mentality really hindered me. And it took me a decade before I went back into that world. And the second I went back into it, I've flourished, because it was something that I really should have been doing all this time. So just prepare yourselves as much as humanly possible during this time.
That's really good information. And our remaining minutes, if you're watching and you have a question, you can slip it into the comments. We'll gladly do it. We have a few minutes left. If you're watching this on replay, let me remind you, we're with Alex Ferrari of Indie Film Hustle. You can find out more about him at indiefilmhustle.com, and stay tuned, because at the very end, we're going to give a special announcement of something new he's launching that we're going to let you know about. If you want to find him on Instagram, he's iFilmHustle. You can post questions there. He's obviously very active in the interweb world, so I know he will get back to you if you have questions there. And just in general, last words, I would say, if there's anything that Bravemaker can do to help you, we are here to try to help support filmmakers. We're obviously headquartered in the Bay Area, but now that we're global here because of COVID-19, we're offering things like screenwriting classes via Zoom. They're free right now, free, Thursdays at 3 p.m. If you want to participate, just let us know. You can email me, tony@bravemaker.com. I would gladly share with you. These were things we used to charge before, but as a gift during this really traumatic time, we're trying to offer it up. So let me know. Happy to include you on that. And also just, as Alex is talking, I know, like, as an artist, we can feel really overwhelmed and anxious. I just want to reaffirm, take care of yourself. Self-care is super important. Yes, you need to pay your bills. I don't advocate for people to go into debt, but you can't try to hustle if your mental health is not a priority. So ask for help, reach out to friends and family. There are lots of, one of our partners, Screen Indie, look them up, screenindie.com. They are offering grants to help people. They're based in LA, but they're offering artist grants to help people who are in need. So please take care of yourself as you start doing some plans, as you start reaching some goals. We would love to help you. Alex and I both have resources. So if you have questions, please let us know. We're getting in some comments. Daisy says, Alex, thanks for your innovative ideas, your positivity and knowledge. Great podcast. Keep on hustling. Laura says, this podcast is great. Thank you for your knowledge. So final things before Alex gives his announcement. If you're wondering, like, where do I start? Let me just say this. Make a list of what you feel good at. Make a list of what you know your skills to be, or what you just enjoy doing, and just scan that list and see, could I monetize this? Could I offer this as a valuable resource to someone who just might pay for me? I got one of my most recent 3 clients by putting out a post on social media, like, hey, I'm learning about social media. If I can help you, I'm available for hire. Got somebody in my inbox, we started chatting, and we just negotiated a price. I'm making a contract, and we're doing a 1-month trial thing. That's where it started. You can negotiate and say, what do you think I'm worth? Or put a value on it yourself. I think my time is worth this. And then build those trial clients and ask them to then make referrals for you, and maybe go on LinkedIn and do some feedback on you. And that's how you can build this. Just one simple way to start with, what are you good at? What skills do you already have? Or what do you love doing that might be a value or a service or a product for someone else? Okay, Alex, what's the big idea? The big thing you're launching next is our final minutes of the broadcast.
So I've been working in my quarantine time. I've been working on something that I'm announcing here as a soft launch. I'm going to be officially launching it on Monday. But I've created IFHacademy.com. And IFH Academy is going to be the home for high-end education for filmmakers and screenwriters. These will be exclusive courses that will be nowhere else. I'll be partnering with some of the biggest and best of the industry that the industry has to offer, from independent film producers to ASC cinematographers, screenwriting gurus and story analysts, as well as myself. I'm going to have a course that I'm working on teaching you how to not get screwed by film distributors. And that's coming out soon as well. I'll have a filmtrepreneur course on there, and I have multiple other courses that I'm going to be working on, trying to provide more and more value to the tribe. And this is going to be a little bit higher end than everything else that I do. So IFH TV is still available, and that's a whole other wealth of information. But this is something that takes everything up to the next level. So I'm going to be launching this fully on Monday, but you can go check it out there right now. It's at ifhacademy.com. And that's the big announcement that I have right now.
You heard it here on Brave Maker, IFH Academy. Thank you so much, Alex, for being a part of the Brave Maker tribe. I really appreciate your time. Appreciate your work. We've got people saying they love it. Thank you, Jessica, for chiming in. Francisco, love this conversation. Thank you for keeping our gears going. So if anything else we can do for you, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm Tony Gapistone with Brave Maker. My co-host guest today was Alex Ferrari. Go find us, message us, and let us know how else we can keep your creativity flowing, not just surviving, but thriving, as Alex would say, right? That's right. And you can get his book. You can listen to it too, actually. How cool is that?
Yes. Filmbizbook.com.
There you go. All right. Till next time, we'll end the broadcast. Don't forget all of your donations that come in till the end of May on bravemaker.com are going to be doubled. We're a nonprofit, and we're really happy that everything you give to us helps us keep doing this work. If you want free movies for our online Brave Maker Film Fest, you can make sure to go to our website, and that's bravemaker.com/buzz. Put your email in there, and you will get an email every Monday with 5 to 10 films and filmmakers who are sharing their awesome stories. We love y'all. Thanks, Robertino, and everybody who watched. And please share this in your timelines with everybody else so they can get the love. Till next time, Brave Stories change the world. You are the story. See ya.